The August heat pressed down on Atlanta like a furnace as Maya Thompson stood on the front porch of the house she'd called home for 4 years, her hand resting protectively on her 7-month belly. Inside, she could hear Marcus laughing, that deep, genuine laugh she used to love, and Sienna's high-pitched giggle in response. The sound felt like glass shards in her chest. "You need to be gone by the time I get back," Marcus had said that morning, his voice flat and emotionless as he handed her an envelope. "My lawyer says you have 72 hours, but I'm being generous. Take the weekend." Maya had stared at the divorce papers, her pregnant belly pressing against the kitchen counter, and felt her entire world tilt sideways. For years of marriage, 7 months pregnant with his daughter, and he was ending it with a legal document and a deadline. "Marcus, please. We can talk about this. Whatever's wrong, there's nothing to talk about." He'd adjusted his tie in the hallway mirror, the same mirror where she'd watched him practice his vows before their wedding. "Sienna makes me happy in ways you never could. She understands my ambitions." "She doesn't," he'd paused, his eyes traveling over her pregnant form with something close to disgust. "She doesn't let herself go." The words had landed like physical blows. Maya had gained 40 pounds with this pregnancy, her skin stretching to accommodate their growing daughter. The baby kicked now, as if sensing her mother's distress, and Maya pressed her palm flat against the movement. "What about the baby?" she'd whispered. "What about your daughter? We'll work something out through the lawyers." Marcus had picked up his briefcase, already mentally checked out of the conversation. "Sienna and I are going to Napa for the weekend. Be gone when we get back." That had been 3 hours ago. Now Maya stood on the porch with 2 suitcases in her laptop bag, waiting for the Uber she couldn't really afford. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. She opened it and immediately wished she hadn't. The photo showed Marcus and Sienna in their kitchen, her kitchen, kissing against the marble island Maya had picked out herself. Sienna's perfectly manicured hand rested on Marcus's chest, and her other hand flashed an enormous diamond ring. Below the photo, a message: "Thanks for warming up my fiancé. Don't worry, I'll take good care of what's yours. Oh wait, it's mine now." Kiss mark. Maya's hands trembled as she deleted the message, but the image was burned into her mind. Sienna Crawford, 25 years old, blonde, blue-eyed, and the kind of thin that came from personal trainers and discipline. She'd met Marcus at his real estate firm 8 months ago, right around the time Maya had announced her pregnancy. The Uber pulled up, and Maya struggled down the porch steps with her bags. The driver, an older woman with kind eyes, jumped out to help. "Baby, you shouldn't be lifting these," she said, taking the heavier suitcase. "How far along are you?" 7 months. Maya's voice came out hollow. "Almost 8. Where's your man? He should be helping you with this." Maya couldn't answer that. She slid into the back seat and gave the driver an address in East Atlanta, a women's shelter she'd Googled that morning in a panic. The driver met her eyes in the rearview mirror and didn't ask any more questions. As they pulled away from the house, Maya watched it disappear in the side mirror. For years of her life, every dream she'd built with Marcus, vanishing behind them. She thought about calling her siblings, but shame kept her phone in her purse. What would she tell them? That she'd married a man who'd thrown her out like garbage? That she'd been so focused on being a good wife that she'd missed every warning sign? That the baby girl growing inside her would be born into a broken home because Maya hadn't been enough? No. She couldn't call them. Not yet. Not until she figured out how to rebuild from the ruins Marcus had left behind. The shelter was clean but crowded, full of women with stories that probably mirrored her own. Maya checked in with a social worker who looked exhausted and sad, like she'd heard too many variations of the same tragedy. "We can give you a bed in the family wing," the woman said, typing information into an ancient computer. 3 meals a day, access to our legal clinic, and our prenatal care coordinator will want to see you tomorrow. "Thank you." Maya's throat was tight. "I just need somewhere safe until I figure things out." "You're safe here, honey. That's what we do." That night, lying on a narrow bed in a room she shared with two other pregnant women, Maya finally let herself cry. She cried for the marriage that had died without her noticing. She cried for the baby who would never know her parents together. She cried for herself, for the girl who'd believed in happily ever after and ended up here instead. Her phone buzzed again. This time it was her sister Zara. "Hey sis, just thinking about you. How's my niece doing? Can't wait for the shower next month." Maya stared at the message for a long time before typing back, "She's good. Growing strong. Miss you." She didn't mention the divorce. Didn't mention the shelter. Didn't mention that the baby shower Zara was planning would probably never happen because Maya didn't have a home to host it in. Tomorrow, she told herself. Tomorrow she would start figuring out her next steps. Tomorrow she would be strong. But tonight, she let herself be broken. Marcus Thompson pulled his Range Rover into the driveway of his Buckhead home, the home that had cost him $800,000 and represented everything he'd built from nothing. At 35, he'd clawed his way up from his working-class childhood in southwest Atlanta to become one of the city's most successful real estate agents. This house, this life, this success, it was all his. Sienna was waiting in the passenger seat, scrolling through her phone with that little smirk she got when she was up to something. At 25, she'd never had to fight for anything. Rich parents, private schools, a trust fund that probably exceeded his annual income. She represented the world Marcus had always wanted access to: old money, country clubs, connections that opened doors he'd been banging on for years. "Is she gone?" Sienna asked, not looking up from her phone. "Should be. I gave her clear instructions." Marcus killed the engine and reached for her hand. "This is our house now. Our life." Sienna finally looked at him, her blue eyes calculating. "You know her family is going to make trouble, right? I looked them up after you told me about the divorce. Maya's last name isn't Thompson. It's Washington. As in Washington Pharmaceuticals? Washington Tech Solutions? That Washington family?" Marcus felt something cold settle in his stomach. "What are you talking about?" "Your wife, ex-wife, is Maya Washington. Daughter of Richard and Patricia Washington. Sister to Zara Washington, CEO of Washington Pharmaceuticals. Sister to Julian Washington, founder of Washington Tech Solutions." "Should I keep going?" Maya never mentioned. She said her family was in business, but she never. Marcus tried to process what Sienna was telling him. If her family has money, why was she working as an elementary school teacher? Why did we struggle to make mortgage payments? Sienna laughed, the sound sharp and knowing. Because she was slumming, Marcus. Playing at normal life with the cute black real estate agent. But trust me, the Washingtons are worth more money than you'll make in 10 lifetimes. Marcus pulled out his phone and started searching. Washington Pharmaceuticals came up immediately, a Fortune 500 company specializing in innovative drug therapies. Annual revenue, $3.2 billion. CEO, Zara Washington, 38. He clicked on her photo and his breath caught. The resemblance to Maya was unmistakable, same high cheekbones, same warm brown skin, same intelligent eyes. But where Maya dressed simply, Zara wore power suits and sat on boards. He searched Julian Washington next. 36 years old, founder and CEO of Washington Tech Solutions, one of Atlanta's fastest-growing software companies. Then Cameron Washington, private equity, managing a $500 million fund. Then Naomi Washington, entertainment lawyer representing some of the biggest names in music. Then Marcus Washington, named after their father, running the family's original construction business that had started it all. Then the youngest, Aria Washington, a surgical resident at Emory with a list of published research papers. 6 siblings. 6 wildly successful, wealthy siblings. And Maya had never mentioned any of it. Why wouldn't she tell me? Marcus whispered, staring at family photos from charity galas and business conferences. Because she wanted to see if you'd love her for her, not her money. Sienna's voice dripped with contempt. How noble. How stupid. She could have been living in a mansion, and instead she's teaching snotty kids their ABCs for $40,000 a year. Marcus felt anger building in his chest. For years of marriage, and Maya had lied to him about who she really was. For years of him working himself to exhaustion while she had access to billions. She made a fool of me, he said quietly. Let me think I was the provider, the successful one, when her family could buy and sell me 100 times over. Exactly. Sienna leaned over and kissed his cheek. But that's over now. You've upgraded, baby. My father's already talking about introducing you to some of his business contacts. The Crawford name opens doors that the Washingtons can't touch. They went inside, and Marcus tried to shake off the unsettled feeling creeping up his spine. So what if Maya came for money? She'd chosen to hide it, which meant she didn't want it. The divorce was still the right decision. Sienna was the right decision, young, beautiful, connected, and ambitious. Maya had become complacent, content with her small life teaching other people's children. His phone rang. Marcus's mother. Hey Ma, Marcus Anthony Thompson, what the hell did you do? His mother's voice was razor-sharp with fury. I just got a call from Sister Patricia at church. She says Maya was seen at the Mercy House shelter yesterday. 7 months pregnant and staying at a shelter, Marcus. My grandbaby's sleeping in a shelter while you're off doing God knows what. Ma, it's complicated. Boy, you put your pregnant wife out on the street, and you think complicated covers it? She's not helpless, Ma. Her family has money. More money than you can imagine. She'll be fine. If her family has so much money, why is she at a shelter? Why isn't she at their house? His mother's voice dropped dangerously low. What did you do, Marcus? I filed for divorce. I'm with someone else now. Someone who, he stopped, knowing how it would sound. Someone who what? Someone who's not carrying your child. Someone who's not the woman you stood up in front of God and promised to love. His mother was crying now, something he'd only heard a handful of times in his life. I raised you better than this. Your father and I struggled, but we never broke our vows. We never threw each other away. Ma, I gotta go. We'll talk about this later. Don't you hang up on. He ended the call and immediately silenced his phone. Sienna was watching him with amusement. Let me guess. Your mom's team Maya? My mom doesn't understand. Marcus poured himself a drink from the bar cart, another thing Maya had called excessive when he'd bought it. She's still stuck in that old school mentality about staying together no matter what. Well, lucky for you, you're not old school. Sienna raised her glass in a toast. To new beginnings. Marcus clinked his glass against hers and tried to ignore the weight settling in his chest. He'd made the right choice. He was sure of it. He just wished he felt as confident as he sounded. Maya woke at 3 a.m. to her baby doing somersaults against her ribs. The shelter was quiet except for soft snoring from one of her roommates and the occasional cry of an infant from down the hall. She lay in the darkness, one hand on her belly, and tried to figure out her next move. She could call her siblings. Should call them. But the thought made her stomach twist with shame. Maya had always been the one who wanted to make her own way, the one who'd insisted on using her teaching salary to pay bills instead of accepting the family money. She'd wanted to prove she didn't need the Washington name to be happy. Look how well that worked out. Her phone buzzed with a text. She grabbed it, hoping it was Marcus saying he'd made a mistake, that he wanted to work things out. Instead, it was from an unknown number. Heard you're at Mercy House. That's perfect, exactly where you belong. Marcus is mine now, and there's nothing you or your little bastard can do about it. Sleep well. Maya deleted it immediately, her hands shaking with anger. Sienna was getting her number from somewhere, which meant Marcus had probably given it to her. The casual cruelty of it, calling her baby a bastard, mocking her for being at a shelter, made Maya's blood boil. She looked at her recent calls. Her siblings' names stared back at her: Zara, Julian, Cameron, Naomi, Marcus Jr., they called him MJ to distinguish him from their dad, and Aria. The Washington Six, the media sometimes called them. Self-made successes who'd taken their father's modest construction business and turned it into an empire spanning pharmaceuticals, tech, finance, entertainment, construction, and medicine. Maya had always been the seventh, the teacher who chose classrooms over boardrooms. And she'd been proud of that choice. But pride didn't pay for prenatal care. Pride didn't find her a place to live. Pride didn't protect her from her husband's mistress sending cruel texts in the middle of the night. Before she could talk herself out of it, Maya pulled up her family group chat. It had been quiet lately, everyone was busy with their respective empires. The last message was from 2 weeks ago, MJ sharing a photo of a building their construction company had just completed. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she typed, "I need help." She stared at the message for a full minute before hitting send. Then she turned off her phone and tried to sleep, knowing that by morning, everything would change. At 6 a.m., her phone exploded with notifications. Calls, texts, all 6 siblings trying to reach her simultaneously. Maya finally answered Zara's call on the 4th attempt. "Where are you?" Zara's voice was sharp with concern. "What's wrong? Is it the baby?" "I'm okay." "The baby's okay." Maya's voice cracked. "I'm at the Mercy House shelter in East Atlanta. Marcus filed for divorce and kicked me out." The silence on the other end lasted exactly 3 seconds. "He did what?" Zara's voice dropped to a deadly calm that Maya recognized. Their oldest sister only sounded like that when someone was about to face serious consequences. "Stay exactly where you are. Don't move. Don't talk to anyone. I'm 20 minutes away." 19 minutes later, a black Mercedes SUV pulled up to the shelter. Maya watched from the window as all 6 of her siblings emerged, and despite everything, she almost laughed. They looked like they were about to storm a castle, Zara in the lead, her designer suit somehow perfect despite the early hour, Julian right behind her in his tech CEO casual uniform of expensive jeans and a blazer. Cameron, Naomi, MJ, and Aria followed, their expressions ranging from concern to fury. The shelter director looked confused and slightly overwhelmed when the Washington Six walked in demanding to see Maya Thompson. "Washington," Zara corrected coolly. "Her name is Maya Washington. Our sister." Maya met them in the common room, and Zara's professional composure cracked immediately. She pulled Maya into a fierce hug. "Why didn't you call us sooner?" Zara whispered. "Why didn't you tell us what was happening? I wanted to handle it myself." Maya was crying now, unable to hold it back. "I wanted to prove I could make my own life without the family name." "And look where that got you," Julian said, but his voice was gentle. He was examining the shelter with obvious distaste. "This is not acceptable, Maya. This is not where a Washington lives." "I'm a Thompson now," Maya said weakly. "The hell you are." This came from Cameron, her finance genius brother who saw the world in terms of assets and liabilities. "You're divorcing him, right? So you're a Washington again. And Washingtons don't live in shelters." MJ was the quietest, but Maya could see the rage burning behind his eyes. As the only other Marcus in the family, he'd always been protective of her. "Where is he? Where's this husband who put my sister out?" "MJ, don't," Maya started. "Don't what?" "Don't make him regret the day he was born." "Too late, baby sister. That's already happening." Naomi, Eva the lawyer, was already on her phone. "I'm pulling the divorce filing now. Let me see what we're dealing with legally." Aria, the youngest and usually the peacemaker, sat beside Maya and took her hand. "How's my niece doing? Any complications?" "She's good. Strong." Maya managed a smile. "She kicks like a soccer player." "Like her aunt," Aria said, squeezing her hand. "I played varsity in high school, remember?" Zara was talking to the shelter director, and Maya could hear her arranging for donations, funding, expansions. Her sister couldn't help but fix things, it was who she was. "Okay, here's what's happening," Julian announced, his voice carrying the same authority he used in boardrooms. "Maya, you're coming to stay with me and Keisha. We have the space, and Keisha's been dying for an excuse to decorate a nursery. I can't just, you can, and you will." Zara was back, her expression brooking no argument. "And we're hiring you the best family law attorney in Georgia. Marcus Thompson has no idea what he's started." "He knows about the family," Maya said quietly. "His girlfriend looked us up. They know about the businesses, the money, all of it." The siblings exchanged glances, and Maya saw something pass between them, a silent communication that came from years of working together. "Good," Cameron said finally, his smile sharp and dangerous. "That makes this more fun." Over the next hour, the Washingtons mobilized with military precision. Naomi made calls to her legal contacts. Cameron started pulling financial records. MJ disappeared for 20 minutes and returned with information he wouldn't specify. Arya coordinated with Maya's OBGYN to transfer her care. Zara handled the shelter logistics and made a $50,000 donation. Julian arranged for movers to pack up Maya's things from the house. By noon, Maya was installed in Julian and Keisha's guest suite, a space larger than the apartment she'd lived in before marrying Marcus. Keisha, Julian's wife of 3 years and a successful interior designer, immediately started planning nursery layouts. "We're going to make this the most beautiful space for your daughter," Keisha said, pulling up design boards on her tablet. "She deserves to come home to something special." Maya sat on the edge of the bed, overwhelmed by the sudden shift in her circumstances. 24 hours ago, she'd been sleeping in a shelter. Now she was surrounded by luxury and family support. "I should have called you sooner," she said when Zara came to check on her. "I was just so embarrassed." Zara sat beside her and took her hand. "Maya, you have nothing to be embarrassed about. That man threw away something precious because he's an idiot. That's on him, not you. He said I let myself go." Maya's voice was small. "That Sienna makes him happy in ways I never could." "Sienna?" Zara's eyebrows rose. "Sienna Crawford? Blonde, looks like a walking Barbie doll, trust fund baby? You know her?" "I know of her family. The Crawfords are old Atlanta money, country clubs, debutante balls, the whole package. Also notorious for being." Zara paused, choosing her words carefully. "Let's say they're not known for their progressive views on race relations." Maya's stomach sank. "You think she's with Marcus because, I think she's with Marcus because she wanted something her parents wouldn't approve of, and now she gets to play rebel without actually risking anything." Zara's voice was sharp. "And I think Marcus is too blinded by access to the Crawford circle to see he's being used. That doesn't make me feel better." "It should. Because when this all falls apart, and it will, you'll be surrounded by family. He'll have nothing." A knock on the door interrupted them. Cameron entered, his laptop open, his expression serious. "Maya, I need you to look at something. How much do you know about Marcus's business finances?" "Not much. He handled all the money stuff. Said I didn't need to worry about it." Cameron's jaw tightened. "Did you ever sign anything? Loan documents? Business papers?" "I signed some papers when he refinanced the house last year. And something about a business loan around the same time. He said it was standard. Do you remember what you signed?" Maya shook her head, a sick feeling growing in her stomach. Cameron turned his laptop around, showing her a document. "This is a joint business loan for $200,000 that Marcus took out 8 months ago using both your names and credit. The money went into his real estate firm. You're equally liable for this debt, Maya." "What?" "I never agreed to, you signed it." Cameron pointed to a signature that was definitely hers. "Right here." Maya stared at the document, trying to remember. 8 months ago, she'd been newly pregnant, exhausted from morning sickness, and Marcus had thrust a stack of papers at her over breakfast. "Just sign here, babe. It's for the house refinance. She'd signed without reading. Trusted him completely. How bad is it? She asked. The business loan is current, but barely. His firm isn't doing as well as he's projecting. Cameron scrolled through more documents. He's overleveraged, has 2 other loans I can find, and his cash flow is problematic. If he defaults, they'll come after both of you. Can we contest it? Prove I didn't know what I was signing? Naomi, who'd entered during Cameron's explanation, shook her head. Hard to prove without evidence of fraud or coercion. But we can negotiate. We can also make sure that when the divorce is finalized, you're protected from his future financial disasters. There's more, Cameron said grimly. The house you were living in. It's mortgaged to the hilt. He took out a home equity line of credit 6 months ago. Another $150,000. I'm betting Sienna's engagement ring cost a good chunk of that. Maya felt like she might throw up. He said we were building our future. That every investment was for our family. He was building his future with Sienna using your credit and your trust. Julian had entered the room, his expression thunderous. That's fraud, Maya. That's theft. What do we do? Maya looked around at her siblings, these brilliant, powerful people who'd built empires while she'd been playing house with a man who'd been planning his exit strategy. Zara's smile was sharp and cold. We remind Marcus Thompson that when you mess with one Washington, you mess with all of us. And we always, protect our own. Marcus Thompson leaned back in his desk chair, reviewing the latest sales figures for his real estate firm. Thompson Elite Properties had been his dream, his escape from the working-class neighborhood where he'd grown up. 6 agents working under him, deals closing regularly, and his name on the door. He'd built this from nothing. The office door opened, and his assistant Rochelle poked her head in. Mr. Thompson? There's someone here to see you. They don't have an appointment, but they're very insistent. Who is it? Julian Washington. Marcus's blood went cold. He'd been expecting this, some kind of confrontation from Maya's family, but not this soon. Not here at his office. Send him in. Julian Washington entered like he owned the place, which, given his net worth, he probably could. 6'2", built like the college athlete he'd once been, dressed in perfectly tailored casual wear that probably cost more than Marcus's entire wardrobe. His expression was pleasant, friendly even, which somehow made him more intimidating. Marcus Thompson. Julian extended his hand. I'm Julian Washington. Maya's brother. Marcus shook his hand, noting the grip that was just slightly too firm to be friendly. I know who you are. Look, if you're here to make trouble. No. Julian settled into the chair across from Marcus's desk without being invited. I'm here to talk. Brother to brother. Well, brother to soon-to-be ex-brother-in-law. How's that for a mouthful? What do you want? I want to understand why you threw my 7-month pregnant sister out of her home like yesterday's garbage. Julian's pleasant expression never wavered, which made the words hit harder. I want to understand what kind of man does that. It's complicated. Maya and we grew apart. I tried to make it work, but you found a younger model? Julian leaned forward. A blonde one? From a family with the kind of social connections you've been desperate to access your whole life? Marcus felt his face flush. My relationship with Sienna has nothing to do with everything. It has everything to do with everything. Julian pulled out his phone and scrolled through something. See, I had my team do a little research on you, Marcus. Very interesting reading. You grew up in Southwest Atlanta, single mother, 4 siblings, dad was in and out of prison. You worked your ass off to get through Georgia State, built this firm from nothing. I respect that. I really do. That's the American dream right there. Then what's your problem? My problem is that you met my sister at a community event 4 years ago. Maya was volunteering, teaching kids financial literacy. You were there because you were hoping to make connections, get some business leads. You saw a beautiful, kind woman who believed in helping people. You didn't know she came from money, hell, she worked overtime to hide it. And you fell in love with who you thought she was. Marcus said nothing. Julian was uncomfortably accurate. Then you married her. She insisted on using her teaching salary to contribute to bills. She clipped coupons. She made you feel like the provider, the successful one. And that felt good, didn't it? Being the one with money and status? Maya never cared about money. No, she cared about being loved for herself. And you did love her, at first. But then... Julian's smile turned sharp. Then you met Sienna Crawford at some industry mixer. And Sienna was everything Maya wasn't, connected, polished, from the world you wanted access to. Sienna's father owns half of Buckhead. Her mother sits on every important board in the city. Suddenly, your elementary school teacher wife started looking like a liability instead of an asset. That's not, yes, it is. Julian stood, looming over the desk. And here's what's going to happen now. You're going to give Maya a fair divorce. You're going to take responsibility for your daughter. You're going to remove Maya's name from every business loan and credit line you fraudulently put her on. And you're going to do it quietly and quickly. And if I don't? Julian's laugh was genuinely amused. Oh, Marcus. You really don't understand how this works. My sister Cameron? He manages a $500 million investment fund. He's already shorting your business lines of credit. My sister Naomi? Entertainment lawyer who knows every judge in the city. My brother MJ? He runs the construction business that built half the buildings in this neighborhood. My sister Aria? Surgical resident at Emory, but more importantly, she's dating the son of the chief of surgery. My sister Zara? She sits on the board of 7 corporations and has the mayor's personal cell number. Marcus felt the walls closing in. And me? I built a tech company from nothing, just like you built this firm. Which means I know exactly how to take it apart. Julian leaned on the desk, his voice dropping. See, I could buy your building out from under you. I could call in favors with your largest clients. I could make sure that every business deal you touch turns to ash. But I'm not going to do that. You're not? No. Because despite what you did to Maya, she still has a good heart. She doesn't want to destroy you, even though you deserve it. So I'm going to give you a choice. Julian straightened. Work with our lawyers on a fair divorce settlement. Take care of your daughter. Remove Maya from your business debts. Do the right thing. Or we demonstrate exactly what happens when you hurt a Washington. This is blackmail. This is a courtesy. We could have started with the nuclear option. My sister Zara wanted to. MJ wanted to show up at your house and beat the shit out of you, which I'll admit was tempting. But Maya asked us to try talking first. So here I am. Talking. Julian walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and Marcus? Your girlfriend Sienna? Her family's already got buyer's remorse. Word travels fast in Atlanta society. They're not thrilled about their daughter dating a divorced father with a black ex-wife. Just thought you should know what you're really signing up for. After Julian left, Marcus sat in his office for a long time, staring at the wall. He pulled up his business accounts, his loan statements, his carefully constructed life, and saw it all with new eyes. Every calculation he'd made, every choice that had led him to serve Maya with divorce papers while she was pregnant, it had all been based on the assumption that he was trading up. But Julian was right. The Crawfords hadn't exactly welcomed him with open arms. Sienna's mother had been coldly polite when they'd met. Her father had asked pointed questions about Marcus's background. Last week, Sienna had mentioned that maybe they should wait on the engagement photos until after the divorce was final. Just to avoid any messiness, she'd said. His phone rang. His lawyer. Marcus, we need to talk. I've been contacted by Naomi Washington's firm about the divorce proceedings. They're asking for a full financial disclosure, including all business loans and joint accounts. Can they do that? They can request it. And honestly, if what they're alleging is true, that you put Maya's name on business loans without her full informed consent, you could be facing serious legal problems. Beyond just the divorce. Marcus closed his eyes. What do you recommend? I recommend we negotiate. Because if the Washingtons decide to make this ugly, we're not going to win. They have unlimited resources and motivation. We need to settle this as quickly and quietly as possible. After hanging up, Marcus looked around his office, his kingdom that suddenly felt very small. On his desk was a photo from his wedding day. Maya in her white dress, glowing with happiness, looking at him like he was her whole world. He'd taken that woman, that love, and thrown it away for what? For Sienna, who was already making excuses about telling her parents. For access to a social circle that didn't really want him anyway. His phone buzzed. A text from Sienna, "Can we talk? Parents are being weird about the engagement. Maybe we should slow down?" Marcus stared at the message and felt the first cold fingers of regret wrap around his heart. Maya Washington, she'd taken her maiden name back immediately, sat in the nursery that Keisha had designed. Soft gray walls, white furniture, whimsical elephant decorations, and a rocking chair positioned by the window overlooking Julian and Keisha's manicured backyard. At 8 months pregnant now, Maya felt her daughter's strong kicks and tried to imagine a future that didn't feel completely terrifying. Knock knock. Arya entered carrying a bag from Maya's favorite Thai restaurant. Brought you pad Thai with extra peanuts. The baby's been requesting it, right? Maya laughed despite everything. You're the doctor. You tell me if she's requesting specific foods. She's definitely requesting everything. You're eating for two. Arya sat beside her, distributing takeout containers. How are you really doing? I don't know. Better? Worse? Both? Maya poked at her noodles. The divorce proceedings started. Naomi's handling everything. Marcus's lawyer is already trying to negotiate. Good. He should negotiate. We've got him completely outgunned. That's what bothers me. Maya set down her fork. I never wanted this to be a war. I just wanted a divorce and a fair custody arrangement. And you'll get that. But on our terms, not his. Arya's voice softened. Maya, you've always been the peacemaker. The one who smooths things over and makes everyone comfortable. But sometimes people need to face consequences for their actions. Marcus hurt you when you were at your most vulnerable. He gets to deal with the fallout. Maya knew her sister was right, but it still felt wrong somehow. She'd loved Marcus once. Truly loved him. And despite everything, part of her mourned the death of that love. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Maya? The voice was unfamiliar. This is Patricia Thompson. Marcus's mother. Maya's breath caught. She'd always loved Marcus's family. His mother was warm and welcoming, nothing like the cold woman Marcus had become. Mrs. Thompson. Hi. Baby, I am so sorry. Patricia's voice cracked with emotion. I'm so sorry for what my son did to you. That's not how I raised him. That's not the man I thought he was. Mrs. Thompson, you don't have to. Yes, I do. I called because I wanted you to know that no matter what happens with Marcus, you're still family to me. That baby you're carrying is my grandbaby, and I will be there for both of you if you'll let me. Maya was crying now. Of course. Of course you can be part of her life. Good. Good. Patricia sounded relieved. And Maya? I want you to know something. That girl Marcus is with? She's not worth one hair on your head. He's going to realize that soon enough, and when he does, it'll be too late. You're a Washington, baby. You come from strength. You're going to be just fine. After the call, Maya sat in the nursery feeling lighter somehow. Maybe Arya was right. Maybe this wasn't about revenge or punishment. Maybe it was just about standing up for herself and her daughter. About teaching her little girl that some things, dignity, self-respect, truth, were worth fighting for. A knock on the doorframe revealed Zara, still in her work clothes from a board meeting. "Hey. How's my favorite sister doing?" "I'm your only sister." "Irrelevant. You're still my favorite." Zara sat on the ottoman in front of Maya. "I need to tell you something. MJ found out where Marcus proposed to Sienna." "Why would I want to know that?" "Because it was at the country club. The Cherokee Country Club. The same country club that didn't allow black members until 1995 and only started allowing black people at all in the 1990s. That's who Marcus thinks is an upgrade from you." Maya felt something cold and certain settle in her stomach. "He doesn't even see it, does he? He doesn't understand what he walked away from." "No, he doesn't. But he will." Zara's smile was sharp. Cameron pulled some strings. "The Crawfords are having some unexpected financial difficulties. Nothing catastrophic, but enough to make them reconsider their daughter's choice of fiancé. Turns out divorcing a pregnant woman looks bad even in their circles." "Zara, I'm not apologizing. They came after you, Maya. That text Sienna sent? Calling your baby a bastard? That was a declaration of war. And the Washingtons don't lose wars." Maya looked at her oldest sister, brilliant, fierce Zara who'd built a pharmaceutical empire while wearing her blackness like armor. "I don't want to become bitter. I don't want all this to make me hard." "You won't. That's not who you are." "But Maya, being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. It means being strong enough to demand the respect you deserve." Zara took her hand. "You spent 4 years making yourself smaller so Marcus could feel bigger. You hid your education, your family, your worth. And he still threw you away. That's on him, not you. All we're doing is making sure he understands what he lost." That night, Maya lay in bed feeling her daughter move. She thought about the woman she'd been 4 years ago, fresh out of grad school, idealistic, believing love could conquer all. She'd hidden her family's wealth and success because she wanted to be chosen for herself, not for what she represented. Marcus had chosen her for herself. And then, when a shinier option came along, he'd discarded her just as easily. But she was still here. Still standing. Still growing a life inside her that would be born into a family that knew how to protect its own. Maya Washington touched her belly and whispered to her daughter, "You're going to be okay, baby girl. We both are. Because you're a Washington, and Washingtons don't break. We rise." 2 weeks later, Marcus Thompson sat across from his lawyer in a conference room that felt too small and too hot. On the other side of the table, Naomi Washington and her associate laid out divorce terms that made Marcus's hands shake. "Let me make sure I understand this correctly," Marcus said, his voice strained. "You want me to take sole responsibility for all business debts, including the loans Maya co-signed?" "Correct." Naomi's voice was professionally polite. "Since those loans were taken out without my client's informed consent, and since the funds benefited solely your business ventures, it's only fair that you assume complete liability." "That's $350,000 in debt." "Yes. It is." Naomi didn't blink. "You should have thought about that before committing loan fraud." Marcus's lawyer, Mitchell, leaned forward. "We could argue joint marital debt, you could. And then we'd have to explain to a judge how Mr. Thompson had Ms. Washington sign loan documents while she was suffering from severe morning sickness, without explaining what she was signing, and then use that money to finance his affair with Ms. Crawford." Naomi's smile was sharp. "I'm sure the court would find that very interesting." Marcus felt sick. "Fine. What else?" "Child support. Given your income and expenses, we're requesting $3,000 monthly." $3,000? That's excessive. My client will be raising your daughter as a single mother while working full-time. $3,000 barely covers childcare, medical expenses, and basic needs. Unless you'd like to request shared custody?" Naomi's eyebrow arched. We'd be happy to discuss a custody arrangement where you take her 50% of the time. Marcus thought about diapers, night feedings, toddler tantrums. Thought about trying to date Sienna while parenting an infant. No, I think Maya should have primary custody. How generous. So that's $3,000 monthly in child support. Additionally, all medical expenses for the baby will be split 60-40, with you taking the larger share. Why 60-40? Because you earn more than my client. Naomi slid a paper across the table. We've done a full financial analysis. You're pulling in about $180,000 annually from your real estate firm. Maya makes $45,000 as a teacher. Seems fair that you contribute proportionally to your child's expenses. Marcus wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. Everything Naomi was saying was reasonable, even if it felt like being slowly squeezed in a vice. There's one more thing, Naomi said. The house. What about the house? My client has no interest in it. However, given that she contributed to the down payment and mortgage for 4 years, she's entitled to half the equity. Current market value is approximately $850,000. You owe $650,000. That leaves $200,000 in equity. Maya's entitled to $100,000. Marcus laughed bitterly. I don't have $100,000 lying around. Then you can sell the house, or you can arrange a payment plan. Either way, my client will receive what she's owed. Naomi began packing up her papers. Mr. Thompson, you have 2 options. You can agree to these terms, sign the papers, and we can all move forward. Or we can go to court, where these terms will likely be even less favorable to you, and where your business practices will receive scrutiny you definitely don't want. Your choice. After the meeting, Marcus sat in his car in the parking garage, his head in his hands. His phone rang. Sienna. Hey baby, I can't talk right now, Marcus, we need to talk. Her voice was cold, formal. I'm having dinner with my parents tonight, and they've made some things very clear to me. Marcus's stomach dropped. What kind of things? They don't approve of this relationship. They think you're using me to climb socially, and they think the optics of you divorcing a pregnant black woman look terrible. Sienna, that's ridiculous. I love you, do you? Or do you love what I represent? Access to a world you couldn't crack otherwise? She sighed. Marcus, I thought this would be fun. A little rebellion, slumming with the self-made man. But it's become complicated and messy, and honestly, I'm tired of it. You're breaking up with me? I'm being practical. You're about to be buried in divorce debt and child support. You're going to be a single father, or at least financially responsible for one. And my family is making it clear that being with you comes with social costs I'm not willing to pay. So that's it? After everything I gave up for you? What did you give up, Marcus? A marriage that was already failing? A wife who lived like she was ashamed of you? Sienna's voice turned sharp. Oh, wait. I forgot. You didn't know she came from the Washington family. You didn't know you were divorcing one of Atlanta's most prominent black women. That must sting, huh? Realizing you traded down instead of up? Sienna, good luck with everything, Marcus. I mean that. But I'm not going to be part of your disaster anymore. The line went dead. Marcus sat in his car as his world collapsed around him. He'd lost Maya. He'd lost Sienna. He was about to lose his house, take on massive debt, and be tied to child support payments for the next 18 years. His phone buzzed. A text from his mother, your daughter was born today. Maya went into labor early. Healthy baby girl, 6 pounds 8 ounces. They're both doing well. In case you care. Marcus stared at the message, feeling something crack inside his chest. He had a daughter. Right now, in some hospital room, Maya was holding their baby girl. And he wasn't there. He'd chosen not to be there, chosen Sienna and her country club world over his own wife and child. He drove to Piedmont Hospital, not sure what he was doing but unable to stay away. At the maternity ward, he asked about Maya Washington, not Thompson, Washington, and was directed to a private room. Through the door's window, he could see them. The entire Washington family crowded into the room, taking turns holding the baby. Maya in the hospital bed, looking exhausted but radiant. Zara sitting beside her, her hand on Maya's shoulder. Julian holding the baby with surprising gentleness. The others clustered around, their faces lit with joy and love. Marcus watched his ex-wife surrounded by family, watched them celebrate the birth of his daughter, and felt the full weight of what he'd thrown away. Not just Maya's love, but her family's acceptance. Not just a wife, but a tribe that protected their own. He turned and walked away without knocking. He didn't deserve to be in that room. Didn't deserve to share that moment. He'd made his choices, and now he was living with them. Alone. 6 months later, Maya Washington sat in her new condo in Midtown, a space Julian and Zara had helped her buy, watching her daughter Aaliyah sleep in her crib. The past months had been a blur of lawyers, negotiations, and learning to be a single mother. The divorce was finalized. Marcus had signed everything Naomi put in front of him, agreeing to the child support, the debt responsibility, all of it. He saw Aaliyah every other weekend, showing up punctually to Zara's house, neutral territory they'd agreed on, to spend time with his daughter. He was polite, respectful, and clearly miserable. Sienna was long gone, and Marcus's real estate firm was struggling. The Crawfords had quietly made sure their business associates knew Marcus was not quite our kind, and deals had dried up. Maya didn't take pleasure in his suffering, but she didn't lose sleep over it either. "Your daughter is beautiful." Keisha had stopped by with dinner, as she did most evenings. "She has your eyes." And Marcus's stubborn chin. Maya smiled, watching Aaliyah's face scrunch in sleep. "She's perfect." "You did good, Maya. Really good." Keisha sat beside her. "You know Julian tells everyone he's so proud of you. Says you're the strongest person he knows." "I'm just doing what I have to do." "No, you're doing what the rest of us couldn't. You're raising a child alone, teaching full-time, and you're doing it all with grace. That's not just surviving. That's thriving." Maya's phone buzzed. A text from Marcus: "Thank you for letting me see Aaliyah this weekend. She smiled at me. First time. I wanted you to know." She stared at the message for a long moment before responding, "She's a happy baby. I'm glad you get to see that." It wasn't forgiveness, exactly. But it was acknowledgement. Marcus was trying to be a father to Aaliyah, showing up, learning. It didn't erase what he'd done, but it was something. That Sunday, the entire Washington family gathered at their parents' house for dinner, a tradition they'd maintained despite busy schedules. Maya brought Aaliyah, who was immediately passed between doting aunts and uncles. Richard and Patricia Washington, the patriarch and matriarch who'd built the original construction business and raised 6 overachieving children, sat at the head of the table, watching their family with obvious satisfaction. "Maya, baby girl," Richard said, his deep voice warm. "How are you really doing?" "I'm good, Dad. Really good. That's my girl." He reached over and squeezed her hand. "You know what I'm proudest of? Not that you married well or badly. Not even that you left when things got hard. I'm proud that you remembered who you are. A Washington. And Washingtons don't break. We rise," Maya finished, smiling through tears. Later, as the family played with Aaliyah and filled the house with laughter, Maya stood by the window watching them. Her siblings, brilliant, successful, fierce, who'd dropped everything to protect her. Her parents, who'd built an empire and taught their children to value character over status. Her daughter, who would grow up surrounded by this love and strength. Marcus had thought he was trading up when he left her for Sienna. But he'd been wrong. You couldn't trade up from family. You couldn't trade up from love. You couldn't trade up from people who stood by you when everything fell apart. Maya Washington picked up her daughter, held her close, and looked at the city lights of Atlanta spreading beyond the window. She'd been broken 6 months ago. Homeless, pregnant, abandoned. Now she was whole again, not because her family had money, but because they had each other. And that was worth more than all the real estate empires and country club memberships in the world. Marcus Thompson learned that lesson too late. Maya Washington had always known it. That was the difference between them. And that difference was everything.